Hey folks, this is Billy DKY, the truth seeker that simplifies and demystifies. This is going to be my video on constructing and deconstructing depression. And those of you who know a little bit about me, you know I'm a mathematician by design or from studying college. And so let's talk a little bit about that before we get into depression. Okay, if you're going to add, if you're going to learn addition, guess what you're going to have to learn? You're going to have to learn subtraction. Notice that. Anything you do in mathematics, they want to undo it. You got to be able to undo whatever you do, typically. Maybe not always, but a lot of times. So, again, if you're going to multiply, you've got to learn how to... Man, this thing's going all over the place. You're going to learn how to divide. If you're going to learn how to do a derivative, you're going to have to learn how to do an integral, which that's calculus if you didn't know, and basically just whatever you do, you get to undo. Now that, like I said, it's not always. Well, that also works on, again, this don't work in every situation. You know, you kill somebody, you don't undo it. So, I mean, you know, it's not always, but a lot of things that can be done can be undone. And so basically, this video started out because Reeling, he didn't really like, at first he didn't really like what I did on my video the other day on falling away of growth. I don't remember if it was depression or conquering depression. And you know, basically, once you can start making fun of something, that's when you sort of mastered it, or at least you feel confident about it. So that's what I was doing. And so basically, here's the construction. Here's how we can create depression. I know you're like, man, why in the hell would I want to create it? Well, you got to learn how it's created. If you learn how depression is created, then you can learn how to undo it or deconstruct it. So let's first realize how it's created, and then we can deconstruct it. So basically, to get a good old healthy dose of depression, what you got to do is this. You got to be negative, you got to be self-centered, and you combine those two and to be depressed. And I was asking this question again. Principle 5 of falling away of growth, which is first link in the information section of this video. Question everything. I said, okay, if depression is not a negative self-centered state of mind, then what is it then? You know, it's obviously not a positive self-centered state of mind. It's to be like, I'm the greatest truth seeker that ever lived! Yay! That's a positive self-centered state of mind. And it's also not a negative selfless state of it's not a negative, selfless state of mind. It's I don't even know how to mock that or make fun of that, but that's all it is a negative, self-centered state of mind. And the problem people have with seeing that is that it starts. Now you may be predeposed, or I'm probably saying it wrong, but anyway, you may be predisposed to being negative or self-centered, and that happens on an unconscious level, and you participate some in your conscious mind, and then that cycle. But the big cycle of depression happens in the unconscious, and once it gets started and your mind's just aching with just self-centered negative, and then you got all the negative chemistry going on, and that's how it stays. And then once it's at that point, you don't even know what happened. How did it happen? Well, depression is not, I'm happy or I'm going along fine and then depressed. It's basically, it's a step process of being negative and self-centered throughout your life, and then all of a sudden it reaches a tipping point where your mind is consumed with negative self-centered thoughts. So that's how it's constructed. It's constructed baby steps. Now, I'm not saying you may be going along and somebody does something, boom, and it switches to depression. Or maybe nobody does anything, your mind just shifts. I mean, if I had it happen to me, it just shifts. But it ain't like I wasn't being negative and self-centered before that shift happened. It was just accumulating to switch over. So again, that's how the universe really works on big things. It baby steps, and you're setting anytime you're being negative and self-centered, you are setting up a depression episode in the future sometime. So that's how it is constructed. Okay. And again, in mathematics, if you construct something, you got to learn how to deconstruct it. This is the same way with construction, too. You build a building, you got to learn how to demolish it. So that's what we're doing. We're going to learn how to demolish depression. Okay, deconstructing depression. Well, Okay, so negativity is a big problem. It's a big component of depression. And to undo that, you got to start the positive training, which I'll put a video at the end of this on the positive training, which most of you already have seen it or know about it. That cuts off one of the angles. If you can not be negative, you will not be depressed. So that's an angle to work on depression. Self-centered. Learn to deal with your ego. Learn to not be so self-centered. Learn to conquer ego in any area you can get a hold of it. And you can go watch the video. I'll put the link to that too. It's Conquering Ego. And basically it just boils down to being truthful. You know what I'm saying? And positive training just boils down to just saying positive words. You know, just repeat them and it gets a pattern in your head. How pleasure contributes to depression. And basically, pleasure dulls your awareness of yourself, so it dulls your mind, so you're not aware of what's going on in here, and as a result, you're not as aware of what's going on in here, so then that negative, self-centered state of mind is able to go more before you deal with it, where if you're really eating plain and simple, like, you know, plain mushrooms, plain broccoli, you're more aware so you don't fall in it as deeply. You know, plus pleasure makes you more unhealthy, which a lot of people want to be healthy, so that makes you more depressed too. So, it can be a very depressing cycle. Okay, how wanting contributes to depression, and this is a very simplistic model to give you the idea, and we'll look at a more complicated one here in a second. How wanting contributes to depression, you got an ego, and because you got an ego, you want things, and if you obtain that something that you're wanting, then you're going to be happy. And then down here, if you don't get it, I can't get it, and if you don't have any hope of getting it, and that's where hope comes in too. I forgot to. If you can't get it immediately, that's where hope comes in, and then so the not getting what you want makes people depressed. Why? Because you're being self-centered, and then your mind turns to negative depression. You can't get what you want, negative depression. You know, negative self-centered behavior. And you see this with the Native Americans too. Look at this as a case study. You know, the Indians. Native Americans, depression, ego, they got an ego, they want to be good people, they deal with the white man, which obviously they didn't get what they wanted, and so, you know, depression sets in, that, you know, white man doesn't really honor his word, you know, stealing their land, and the Native Americans don't understand why it happened, and it's just, and again, not getting into all that, but I'm just saying that's part of the reason why they're depressed. Okay, so here's a more realistic view of, how depression works. A while ago, I just had a straight linear path to it. It don't necessarily happen that way. You've got all these things going on in your mind. You got an ego. Let's say you're a dude. It don't have to be a dude, but just say you want a hot chick, or you want a mate. Let's just say that hot mate. And if you do or don't get it, depends on if you're happy or not. And even after you get it, you may not be satisfied because you still have more things you want. And so. And there's a principle in economics that says human wants are unsatiable, which means if the more you get, the more you're going to want. So the point is not the more wants you get fulfilled, the more wants you're going to want fulfilled. So it creates more and more opportunities for you to be depressed. So the real secret to conquering depression, or one of the big tools is to quit wanting so many things, and you'll find that there's not as many opportunities for you to be depressed. It's part of the reason why rich people are very depressed a lot of times. I mean, they may look happy in public and this and that, but a lot of times they're very depressed because they want so much. So, okay. So, let's see. You want perfect, I meant to say health, they're not health. Perfect health. Well, you're not going to have perfect health as you get older. Your body will decay and you're going to be depressed. Even if you're rich and you can get everything you want, you have no option on health. Your health will decline as you get older. Wanting to live forever. Well, you're not going to live forever. Can't be done. So let me turn this off real quick. Okay, plus you got other things that you want, like, you want to be the center of the universe. You want to be the center of attention. You want to be wealthy. You know, you got endless wants, and every one of those wants makes it more likely that you're going to be depressed and probably negative because you can't get it. And then another one I got here. I want to be self-centered, but everybody else... I want to be self-centered, but I want everybody else to be virtuous. And so, you know, it's just... That's how it works, folks. And I just... Like I said, I want to do a quick video on that. I thought some of you could get some benefit from it. Until the next video, later.